What's going on, guys? Kaiser here, and today we'll be taking a look at the $39 Razer Viper Mini. Now this is essentially a compact wired version of my favorite mouse, the Razer Viper Ultimate. So we'll also be taking a look at some of the differences. With that said, let's get to it. Now up until this year, I've pretty much been Team Corsair, and the K95 Platinum is still my favorite keyboard. I've always felt that Corsair produced higher quality devices, but I have to admit, Razer has really stepped it up lately. Now right off the bat, you'll notice that the Mini has pretty much the same design as the Viper Ultimate, just in a more compact size, although there are several changes. In terms of size, the Mini is 118.3 millimeters long, 53.5 millimeters wide, 38.3 millimeters tall, and weighs in at 61 grams. And because of this small form factor, you'll definitely have to use a claw or fingertip grip with this mouse. Here's how it compares to the Viper Ultimate. Now you wouldn't think that a mouse this size would offer much in terms of build, but this thing is really well made. There's literally no flex or creaks when squeezing it. Now this time around, Razer decided to do away with the textured side grips, and I'm not sure if this was done to cut costs or because there were mixed feelings about it. Now personally, I prefer the added grip. I mean, I literally put grips on everything, and sometimes I even make my own. Now while the Mini still has that ambidextrous look and feel, there's no side buttons on the right side this time around. Another difference is the added remappable DPI button up top. Now one of the most notable changes with the Mini is the 3359 Optical Sensor. Now I would imagine that this is where most of the cost cutting came into play. So unlike the Viper Ultimate's 20,000 DPI, the max DPI for the Mini is 8,500. Now this isn't a big deal for me because I've never came anywhere close to 20,000 DPI. I usually fall in that 600 to 1,000 DPI range, but overall, considering the huge price difference, something had to be sacrificed. Also on the bottom, you have a layout change with the mouse feet. Now the Mini still uses the same high-grade PTFE material, except this time it covers a bigger area, which in theory should make it a bit smoother. However, I really didn't notice a difference. Both seem to be equally smooth. Another nice addition to the Mini is the added Rgb Zone on the back. Definitely cool to see. And since this is the wired version, you get Razer's Speed Flex cable. Now this is definitely a nice cable with good flexibility, allowing a nice fluid movement without that dreaded drag. Now even though the Mini took an expected hit with the sensor, it's surprising to see that this budget mouse is claiming improved switches. Now while I can't say for certain that there's an actual performance improvement per se, what I can say is that the side switches are clickier, and that's one of the complaints that I've heard from owners of the Viper Ultimate. The side buttons are recessed a tad bit, and that results in this mushy feeling. So it's good to see that Razer actually listened to the consumer and fixed this with the Mini. Here's how they sound. Now prior to switching to the Viper Ultimate, my main mouse was the M65 Pro, and that took some getting used to. Now although the learning curve moving from the Mini to the Ultimate isn't quite as steep, it still requires an adjustment. Personally, I had to dial back my DPI settings, and even then I still had a bit of handshake that eventually works itself out over time. But overall, the Mini feels great. It's just as smooth and responsive as the Viper Ultimate, but at a fraction of the cost. So if you're in the market for a great mouse at a very reasonable price, this is hands down the best option.